Y'all sent me this video. Apparently, it's JD Vance speaking. I think it's like some type of, not press conference, but debate. And someone asked him a question and it gets real. Let's check this out. Don't forget to hit the like button, share the video as well, all that good stuff. And if you want to send me something to react to, join Discord. All right, let's see what's going down in this piece.
This is a matter of free speech. These people are allowed to use their resources to do whatever they want. So anyways, definitely looking forward to reading all of your comments about these topics. With that, let's move on. JD Vance absolutely cooks here.
Vice President JD Vance, good evening.
Thank you.
My question is, the Republican Party, they stand for the right to bear arms. A lot of things the founding fathers really made a priority.
Sure.
And I feel as if requiring Christianity in public schools goes against the founding fathers' wish of freedom of religion. What do you think about that?
Well, I guess who is saying that we require Christianity in public schools?
Yeah.
Just from what I've seen on the media and the news, it seems like the Trump administration had wanted to make.
I was going to say, I didn't see that at all, like in schools, and I've went to a public school. I didn't see that there was a requirement to, like, for them to teach Christianity at the school. I didn't, not once.
Praying in schools and Christian values incorporated.
Here's the thing when you talk about forcing, I'm going to answer your question, of forcing Christianity, forcing people to pray. There's a liberal idea out there that I think is wrong, and that's that liberalism is the source of freedom of religion. And actually, if you go back to the original founding documents of the United States of America, if you go back to the Anglo legal tradition, well before there was ever a United States of America, what you find is that freedom of religion is actually a Christian concept. And the reason it's a Christian concept is very simple. Because Christianity, Imago Dei, the idea that we are all made in the image of our Creator, means that we must respect the free will of every single person. Now, part of that is you have a conversation with people. Having free will doesn't mean that you're not allowed to encourage somebody, that you're not allowed to talk to somebody about your faith, that you're not allowed to talk about certain values in school. When our founders talked about freedom of religion, they didn't mean you weren't allowed to say a Christian prayer in a public school or that you weren't allowed to talk about Jesus Christ in a public forum. They just meant that nobody could force you to profess the Christian faith. That had to come from your own free will. And I believe...
Right. So why is he acting like they're trying to force people to be Christians?
Believe that, and I think every Christian who I've ever spoken to believes that the source is the Christian, the source of your faith, the Christian understanding must be your own free will. But here's the thing about Christian values. There are a lot of Christian values out there that I think that we've just sort of assumed and we've in fact taken for granted. Christian values are the idea that you should respect every single person as an individual, whatever the color of their skin, created in the image of God. That's a Christian concept. And in fact, it was a Christian empire, Great Britain, that abolished slavery to begin with. The idea that we should eliminate child sacrifice. What did the Christian settlers find when they came to the New World? They found a lot of civilizations that were murdering babies in weird religious rituals. It was Christianity that said, we don't kill children just because they're somehow inconvenient.
No, that's facts. There's a lot of nasty rituals and all this weirdness going down. Yeah. Christianity stopped that. Christianity stopped a lot of stuff that was bad from happening, but they're not going to tell you that, right?
To people. A lot of the things, human rights, the very idea that human beings have rights are a Christian concept. And so I'd ask you, my assumption based on the question is that you're skeptical of Christianity, or at least of certain public professions of Christianity. One of my favorite Bible verses is, by your fruits ye shall know them. And I think that the fruits of the Christian faith are the most moral, the most just and the most prosperous civilization in history, I make no apologies for believing that Christianity is the pathway to God. I make no apologies for thinking that Christian values are an important foundation of this country, but I'm not going to force you to believe in anything because that's not what God wants and that's not what I want either.
So
Go ahead.
for the school system, do you agree that there should be Christian implementation, or do you think that school system should be neutral and be focused on science, literature, reading, writing, arithmetic?
Well, I reject the idea that anything is pure.
I'm gonna wind it back so we can hear what he said fully, but I think schools are teaching a lot of the wrong stuff in general currently. They teach a lot of stuff that you're not gonna use at all. Like, I've never used a lot of these things that I learned in public school growing up. Never have I ever had to use trigonometry, nigga. I ain't never had to use the square root of pi. None of this.
Really neutral. Okay. There are, for example, let's take a basic scientific fact. And this is a little spicy. I'm not trying to make this too controversial, but take the basic scientific fact of, can you take a pill to change your biological gender? Okay. Now that's something that 15 years ago, quite literally every single scientist in the Western world would have said, absolutely not. That's crazy. And now people will. I think the premise of your question, I don't totally share it because I don't think perfect neutrality is possible. What is it? You talk about history. Was Christopher Columbus a great explorer, or was he a guy who committed genocide against the native populations? These debates, I'm happy to have them, but I reject the idea that there are truly neutral debates. Anybody who's telling you their view is neutral likely has an agenda to sell you. And I'm at least honest about the fact that I think the Christian foundation of this country is a good thing.
Okay, so Vance did very well there.
Yeah.
He exposed the lie, the very lie at the heart of modern secularism. This guy tries to suggest, as so many people do these days, that the secularists are the ones who are neutral and rational, and the Christians have an agenda. This is absurd. There is no such thing as neutral. Every single worldview out there starts from a set of axioms, assumptions or presuppositions, in some cases, about truth, morality, and human nature. And secularists just demand that we accept theirs without an explanation or justification. They pretend that their assumptions are objective and enlightened, whereas in reality, they are just as ideological as everyone else's. They just smuggle in their beliefs about human autonomy and moral relativism and the supremacy of self-expression, and they call it reason. The problem, though, is that they want power and just pretend that they don't. They want unanimous control over education and law and media and culture, all justified by this fake neutrality. And let me reiterate that their worldview, not a neutral one. They have a moral vision that rejects good and evil, and it replaces it with whatever happens to serve the individual or the state in the moment. Christianity, by contrast, offers a consistent moral and philosophical framework rooted in something higher than human whims. So secularism isn't neutral, it's hollow and incoherent and parasitic.
He's going off. He's going off. Watch the full video, though. I don't want to play the full thing. Just wanted to see that segment that you guys wanted me to see. But yeah, he's going in. I think JD Vance actually cooked whoever that was that asked him the question. But just my opinion. Tell me what yours is down in the comment section. Videos playing in the background and whatnot. Yeah, tell me what you guys think down in the comment section.